At this exact moment in time, you exist as more than a single entity. You are infinite possibilities, all coexisting simultaneously, awaiting your conscious selection of which will materialize into reality. This isn't spiritual conjecture or wishful metaphysics. This is quantum superposition, the scientific principle that particles exist in multiple states concurrently until observed, whereupon they collapse into a singular defined state. You function identically. You are quantum mechanics in living form. Each morning as consciousness returns, you hold the potential to embody anyone: the assured guide, the innovative visionary, the serene sage, the prosperous architect. All these variations of your being exist now in what quantum physics identifies as the field of potentiality. Yet here's the pattern. Within moments of consciousness returning, you default back to the identical version of yourself. The known entity, the secure identity, the one carrying forward yesterday's struggle and anticipating tomorrow's challenges. Consider this revelation. When quantum researchers initially discovered particles existing in multiple states simultaneously, they were astounded. How could an entity occupy two positions at once? How could an electron manifest as both wave and particle? Yet experiment after experiment confirmed this reality. And here's the transformative insight. You operate under identical universal laws. You exist as pure potential until the moment self-observation collapses you into a single identity. The version reading these words represents just one possibility that materialized. But alternate versions await. The one already experiencing everything you desire. The one who released what no longer serves their highest good. The one who embraced possibility when your current self declined. They all exist. They all remain accessible. They all are expressions of your fundamental nature. That persistent weight you've been carrying. That intuition that transformation is needed, yet the path remains unclear. That isn't confusion. That's awakening awareness. It's your consciousness recognizing the repetitive pattern of collapsing into identical expressions of self day after day, like a melody stuck in perpetual loop. You sense these alternative potentials beckoning. You perceive them in your most silent moments, in your dreamscapes, in those brief seconds between slumber and wakefulness when your programmed identity temporarily dissolves. But then the pattern initiates. Your eyes register light. Your feet connect with the floor. And instantly, you default to the familiar configuration. Identical thought patterns. Identical emotional states. Identical behavioral responses. This collapse happens without conscious direction. It occurs so rapidly, so automatically, that awareness of alternatives never emerges. Your physical form remembers how to be the previous version of you before conscious thought even activates. If this understanding resonates deeply within you, press the like button in this moment. This deliberate action creates energetic entanglement between your consciousness and this frequency of transformation, catalyzing collapse into your highest expression. Every single dawn, you experience quantum collapse without conscious recognition. In those initial fragments of awareness before memory reinstates, before identity reassembles, before your narrative reloads, you exist as pure potential. You embody the quantum field itself, unbounded and undefined. Then a trigger occurs. A thought surfaces. Responsibilities await. An emotion arises, that familiar heaviness or anxiety. In that instant, you transition from infinite possibility to specific identity. Quantum physicists term this the collapse of wave function. When a quantum system undergoes observation, it transitions from all potentialities to one actuality. And you, magnificent being, represent the most complex quantum system in known existence. Your consciousness functions simultaneously as both observer and observed. You witness yourself collapsing into form with each new day. If this insight resonates within your quantum core, type "I choose" in the comments section. Let these words become your declaration to the universe that you're transitioning from unconscious to conscious selection of which version of yourself manifests. This process transcends mental activity. Your entire physical system participates in this collapse. Your cellular memory retains yesterday's programming. Your nervous system has encoded your emotional patterns. Your heart has established its characteristic rhythm of apprehension or enthusiasm. Before your first conscious thought forms, your body has already selected which version of you to manifest. It defaults to the familiar pattern, the secure configuration, even when that pattern generates discomfort. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research revealed something profound about this mechanism. By age 35, approximately 95% of who you experience yourself to be consists merely of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, unconscious habits, perspectives, beliefs, and perceptions. You're not fully living, you're executing programming. You're not consciously choosing, you're automatically repeating. Each morning offers the potential to collapse into any expression of self. Yet you default to yesterday's version because that's what your biological system recognizes. Here's what's truly fascinating. The moment preceding collapse, that state of superposition where all potentials exist simultaneously, that's where true power resides. That's where choice emerges. That's where transformation becomes possible. Yet most rush through this moment so rapidly, they never recognize it. We default into our established identity before recognizing alternatives existed. Researchers studying quantum mechanics discovered that observation doesn't merely reveal reality, it generates reality. Observer and observed aren't separate entities. They form one integrated system, co-creating each other. When you observe yourself through the filter of your history, you collapse into that history. When you observe yourself through the lens of limitation, you collapse into that limitation. But what transformations might occur if your observation shifted? Your body doesn't simply remember your past. It actively reconstructs it. Every cell functions as a quantum processor, storing not only biological information, but energetic patterns, emotional frequencies, and identity coding. After years experiencing yourself consistently, feeling familiar emotions, thinking repetitive thoughts, your cellular structure becomes conditioned to specific biochemical signals. Fear generates certain hormones. Anxiety activates specific neurotransmitters. Doubt initiates particular biochemical cascades. And your cells, these remarkable intelligent quantum processors, develop dependency on these chemical messengers. They literally crave the biochemistry of your established identity. So when your conscious mind declares, "I desire change," your trillion cells respond, "Provide what we recognize." This explains why transformation feels challenging. You're not merely changing thought patterns. You're requesting your entire biological system undergo withdrawal from its familiar chemical environment. You're asking every cell release its dependency on being who you've always been. Like any withdrawal process, discomfort arises. Your body responds with signals of distress, anxiety, even panic. Not because you're making mistakes, but because you're creating something different. Here's something truly revolutionary that isn't widely discussed. When quantum systems undergo change, they go through what physicists call quantum tunneling. This represents the ability for particles to pass through energy barriers that classical physics would deem impossible to traverse. Your consciousness has this identical capacity. When transformation seems impossible from your current perspective, quantum tunneling allows you to jump into a new state of being without necessarily walking the full path between states. This is why sometimes transformation can happen instantaneously rather than gradually, defying our linear understanding of change. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research demonstrates something remarkable. Your cells don't merely respond to your thoughts, they become your thoughts. When you think identical thoughts repeatedly, your cells restructure to facilitate thinking that thought again. Neural pathways strengthen, synaptic connections multiply. Your brain physically reconfigures to make established patterns more efficient. You become a biological monument to your habitual self. But here's where quantum superposition becomes your greatest ally. Just as particles exist in multiple states simultaneously, your cells possess the capacity to exist in multiple emotional states, multiple biochemical environments, multiple realities concurrently. They aren't permanently locked into singular patterns. They can learn new expressions. They can respond to new rhythms. They can become conditioned to joy as readily as they became conditioned to fear. The scientific term for this is neuroplasticity, but it's actually quantum mechanics at work in your biology. Each time you select a different thought, experience a different emotion, or take a different action, you're collapsing into a slightly different version of yourself. Do this once, and your established pattern reasserts like an elastic band. But practice this repeatedly with intention and awareness, and something transformative occurs. Your cells begin anticipating the new pattern. They begin craving the new biochemistry. They begin reconfiguring themselves around your emerging identity. Beyond neuroplasticity, we now understand a process called quantum coherence, occurring in biological systems, where particles within your cells can maintain synchronized wave functions. When you consistently maintain a new state of being, your entire body begins to achieve quantum coherence around this new state, making it increasingly easier to maintain as the individual cellular oscillators of your body synchronize to the new frequency. This is why transformation has a tipping point, where suddenly it becomes easier to be the new you than to revert to the old patterns. Quantum physics has validated what ancient wisdom traditions articulated for millennia. A singular reality doesn't exist. Infinite realities exist simultaneously, all coexisting, all equally valid, all awaiting consciousness to collapse them into experience. This isn't theoretical conjecture. This is scientific fact demonstrated in laboratories worldwide. In the renowned double-slit experiment, researchers directed electrons toward a barrier containing two openings. When unobserved, the electrons behaved as waves, passing through both openings simultaneously, creating an interference pattern. But when observed, they collapsed into particles, selecting one opening or the other. The implications are profound. Reality exists as potential until consciousness selects which version materializes. You live this experiment in every moment of existence. Your life manifests as waves of potential until observation collapses it into specific experience. The relationship you're currently in represents one collapsed potential. The work you perform, another collapsed potential. The health you experience, the abundance you access or lack, the joy you feel or don't feel, all represent collapsed potentials from an infinite field of possibility. String theory extends this understanding further, proposing at least 11 dimensions of reality, most beyond perception through physical senses. But consciousness isn't limited to sensory perception. Consciousness navigates these dimensions, senses alternative possibilities, perceives the gravitational pull of parallel realities where different versions of ourselves experience different existences. Have you experienced moments where you sensed life could diverge in completely different directions? Standing at crossroads, feeling two futures simultaneously pulling your attention? That isn't imagination. That's consciousness perceiving the quantum field, sensing different realities available to you, awaiting your selection of which to collapse into experience. This explains why sometimes you experience living the wrong life. Because in a quantum sense, you are. You've collapsed into a reality misaligned with your highest potential. You've unconsciously continued collapsing into a version of yourself created through past conditioning, past limitation, past fear patterns. But those alternative versions, the confident one, the successful one, the joyful one, they continue existing. They remain accessible. They continue calling to you from the quantum field. Every moment contains a pause, a breath, a space where all possibilities exist before one manifests. Quantum physicists call this the superposition state. Ancient traditions named it the gap between thoughts. Contemporary explorers call it the zero-point field. Whatever terminology you prefer, it represents the most powerful position in existence because that's where choice originates. Most rush through these moments without recognition. We awaken and immediately default to our familiar identity. We encounter challenges and instantly collapse into habitual responses. Someone triggers reactivity, and we automatically collapse into programmed reactions. We transition so rapidly from possibility to actuality that awareness of choice never emerges. But what if you could expand that moment? What if you could extend that space between stimulus and response, between potential and collapse? What if you could witness yourself in the act of selecting which version of yourself to become? This represents the true purpose of meditation. Not emptying the mind, but dwelling in that space of pure potential before collapse. This defines authentic presence. Not just being here now, but being aware of all possibilities existing in this now. This reveals what consciousness truly offers. Not just capacity for thought, but ability to choose which reality your thoughts manifest. In this precise moment, as you process these words, you exist in superposition. Part of you remains skeptical. Part of you feels hopeful. Part of you experiences fatigue. Part of you feels energized. Part of you yearns for transformation. Part of you seeks security in the familiar. All these versions are authentic. All these versions are valid. But in the next moment, you'll collapse into one. Which will you select? This choice doesn't occur once. It happens thousands of times daily. Every thought represents a collapse. Every emotion represents a collapse. Every word spoken, every action taken, every reaction experienced, all represent moments where you collapse from infinite potential into specific reality. And most frequently, you collapse into identical patterns, identical identity, identical limited expressions of self. If you sense this shift beginning, affirm below, I am possibilities. Let writing these words anchor your consciousness in superposition, in that space of infinite potential preceding collapse. Your nervous system has mastered the art of collapsing you into your familiar identity. It happens so rapidly, so automatically, that awareness of choice never surfaces. Something occurs. A financial obligation arrives. Someone offers criticism. An opportunity presents itself. And before conscious consideration, you've already collapsed into predictable response. Your body automatically generates specific chemicals, tensions specific muscles, triggers specific thought patterns. This automatic collapse mechanism creates limitation. Your circumstances don't create confinement. Your nervous system's addiction to collapsing into identical patterns creates confinement. You've practiced being yourself so extensively that your body executes the pattern without conscious involvement. You've attained mastery at being who you've always been. But mastery can redirect. The same nervous system automatically collapsing you into limitation can train to automatically collapse you into expansion. The same body conditioned to familiar chemicals can learn to crave elevated emotional states. The same neural pathways firing in predictable sequences can rewire to fire in new, empowering configurations. This is where genuine transformation begins, not through increased effort or self-pressure, but through awareness of the moment preceding collapse. When familiar emotions arise, can you pause? When habitual thoughts appear, can you question them? When your body prepares to react in programmed ways, can you choose differently? Initially, this feels impossible. The gravitational pull of the familiar is overwhelming. Your cells demand their chemical requirements. Your neural pathways function like deeply carved channels that thoughts naturally follow. But each time you pause, each time you choose differently, you weaken established patterns and strengthen new ones. You're literally reconstructing yourself at the quantum level. Consider this metaphor. Your established identity functions like a gravitational field with its own attraction force. It pulls everything into its influence. Every thought, every feeling, every experience gets pulled into the gravitational field of who you've always been. But consciousness exerts more power than gravity. Awareness wields more influence than automation, and choice, conscious choice, can escape even the strongest pull of established patterns. If you're prepared to escape the gravitational field of your previous self, subscribe now. This creates a quantum bridge between your consciousness and this transformational frequency, ensuring continued reception of the energetic transmissions, supporting your ongoing evolution. When you decide to stop collapsing into your previous identity, your physical system experiences shock. It's been generating identical biochemical formulas for years, perhaps decades. Cortisol upon awakening when contemplating responsibilities. Adrenaline midday when reviewing financial status. A mixture of worry hormones before sleep. Your body knows this formula completely. It's become your biochemical signature, as unique as genetic coding. Now suddenly, you're requesting your body stop this production. You're refusing to provide the stress chemicals it's dependent upon. You're withholding the familiar emotional states it craves. And like someone eliminating caffeine or sugar, your body protests. You might experience anxiety without apparent cause, irritability without clear trigger. Your body literally experiences withdrawal from your established identity. This explains why many abandon transformation efforts. They interpret these uncomfortable sensations as indicators something's wrong, that returning to established patterns is necessary. But these sensations actually confirm transformation is progressing. Your established identity is dissolving at the cellular level, and dissolution, even of what no longer serves highest good, creates temporary discomfort. But here's the beautiful aspect. As your body releases dependency on established chemical patterns, it becomes receptive to new ones. Gratitude generates different hormones than fear. Joy creates different neurotransmitters than anxiety. Love floods your system with chemicals that heal rather than harm, and your cells, these brilliant quantum processors, can learn to crave these new chemicals just as intensely as they crave the old ones. Most people are never taught about what quantum biologists call cellular memory transmutation. This phenomenon explains how your cells can actually accelerate their adaptation to new biochemical states when you provide them with conscious intention and energy. By directing attention to the cells that are struggling with the transition and consciously speaking to them, telling them they are safe in this new state, you can significantly reduce the withdrawal period and help your body adapt more quickly to your new frequency state. The transition period typically spans about 21 to 30 days. That's the duration required for your body to break its chemical addiction to established emotional states. During this phase, you exist in quantum flux. You're neither your previous self nor your emerging self. You're in superposition, existing as pure potential, prepared to collapse into something unprecedented. This represents sacred time. This is when you're most powerful, most creative, most capable of authentic transformation. Don't rush through it. Don't attempt to make it comfortable. Allow yourself to exist in the uncertainty, in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. This is where miracles materialize. This is where you discover you were never as solid as you perceived. You were always fluid, always changeable, always capable of collapsing into something magnificent. In quantum mechanics, a principle exists that shook scientific understanding to its foundation: the observer effect. Simply stated, the act of observation alters what's being observed. An electron doesn't occupy definite location until someone observes it. A particle doesn't select its state until consciousness collapses it into reality. Observer and observed aren't separate entities. They form one integrated system, creating each other in every moment. You function simultaneously as observer and observed in your own existence. How you observe yourself determines which version of you collapses into reality. When you observe yourself through the filter of your wounds, you collapse into wounded reality. When you observe yourself through the lens of your power, you collapse into empowered reality. The observer aspect is the creator aspect of your being. But here's what most fail to comprehend. You're not observing objective reality. You're observing possibility and collapsing it into experience through the quality of your observation. Your consciousness isn't passive. It represents the active force selecting which potential becomes actual. Each time you observe your life, you're not merely seeing what exists. You're creating what exists through the act of seeing. This explains why two people can experience identical events completely differently. They're not merely interpreting differently. They're literally collapsing into different realities through their observation. One person observes opportunity, another observes obstacle. One perceives blessing, another perceives burden. And both are correct because both create their experience through their observation. One quantum principle rarely discussed is entanglement harvesting, the ability to create quantum connections between previously unentangled particles. In consciousness terms, this means you can literally create new connections between aspects of your experience that were previously unrelated. When you consciously choose to see synchronicities and meaningful connections in your life, you're engaging in a form of entanglement harvesting, creating new quantum relationships between events that strengthen your new reality. This is why people who are consciously creating a new reality often report meaningful coincidences increasing dramatically. They are actually creating these entanglements through their observation. The quality of your consciousness determines the quality of your collapse. If consciousness is clouded by past conditioning, you'll collapse reality through that filter. If consciousness is clear and present, you'll collapse reality from a space of pure potential. This isn't positive thinking. This is quantum mechanics. Your consciousness is the lens through which infinite possibility becomes singular experience. So the question emerges, how are you observing yourself right now? Through which lens are you collapsing potential into reality? Are you observing yourself as someone struggling or as someone evolving? Are you perceiving yourself as stuck or as someone in transition? Are you collapsing into the narrative of who you've been or into the possibility of who you're becoming? If you're ready to observe differently, declare in the comments, "New Observer." This simple act of writing signals your quantum field that you're transitioning from unconscious to conscious observation. Your previous identity doesn't require destruction. It simply requires discontinued observation. When you stop observing yourself as that entity, when you stop collapsing into that identity, it naturally dissolves back into the quantum field, becoming just one of many possibilities rather than your only reality. This represents the transformation secret that remains undiscussed. You don't need to battle your established patterns. You don't need to overcome or defeat them. You simply need to stop selecting them, stop observing them, stop collapsing into them, and begin observing, begin selecting, begin collapsing into something else. But what is this something else? It's not a fantasy version of yourself that requires construction from nothing. It's a version of you already existing in the quantum field. Remember, in superposition, all possibilities exist simultaneously. The confident you, the abundant you, the peaceful you, the creative you, they all exist. They all remain accessible. They all await your observation to materialize. The process is simpler than your mind currently suggests. Close your eyes and sense a different version of yourself. Not the one processing these words with all your current challenges and patterns, but the one who has already transformed. Feel their energy. Feel their peace. Feel their certainty. They don't exist in the future. They exist in a parallel now, a different collapse of identical quantum potential. When you open your eyes, choice awaits. You can collapse back into your familiar identity or maintain the frequency of this new version. You can observe yourself as who you've always been, or observe yourself as who you're becoming. The quantum field responds equally to either choice, manifesting with mathematical precision whatever you select. This explains why pretending proves ineffective. You can't fabricate a frequency. You can't deceive the quantum field. You must actually shift your observation, actually transform your consciousness, actually collapse into a different state. It's not about verbal declarations or visualizations. It's about which version of yourself you're observing into existence in this moment. Each version of you vibrates at unique frequency. The worried you resonates at one frequency. The confident you resonates at another. The scarcity-based you vibrates differently than the abundance-based you. These aren't merely metaphors. These represent measurable electromagnetic signatures that your body broadcasts into the quantum field. If you're finding these insights awakening something deep within you, I want to share a resource that takes this understanding to entirely new depths. In my book, Beyond the Frequencies, A Quantum Guide to Consciousness Mastery, I explore the complete system of quantum consciousness creation, moving far beyond what we can cover in this video. While we're touching on the surface of quantum identity, the book reveals all 9 master frequencies that govern consciousness transformation, with step-by-step practices for liberating yourself from your frequency prison and embodying your highest potential. If you're ready to move from seeking to being, from manifestation to embodiment, this comprehensive guide will show you exactly how to consciously broadcast the reality you wish to experience. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Scientists have documented that your heart generates an electromagnetic field extending several feet beyond your physical body. This field carries information about your emotional state, your identity, your consciousness. When you collapse into fear, your field broadcasts fear. When you collapse into love, your field broadcasts love. And the quantum field responds to these broadcasts by organizing reality to match them. This is why you can enter a room and immediately sense someone's energy. Their electromagnetic field interacts with yours, exchanging information at quantum level. You're not merely sensing their mood. You're experiencing their collapsed reality, the version of themselves they've selected to observe into existence. Your frequency serves as your calling card to the universe. It announces who you are before speaking, before acting, before thinking. And the universe, operating through resonance and attraction, responds by bringing you experiences matching your frequency. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. More precisely, you attract what you're observing yourself to be. Changing your frequency isn't about forcing yourself to feel positive emotions. It's about genuinely collapsing into a different version of yourself. When you truly observe yourself as abundant, your frequency shifts to abundance. When you genuinely collapse into confidence, your electromagnetic field broadcasts confidence. One aspect of quantum field theory rarely explained is vacuum fluctuation, the principle that even in seemingly empty space, particles and antiparticles are constantly appearing and disappearing. Similarly, in your life, new possibilities are constantly emerging from the quantum vacuum, even in spaces that seem devoid of opportunity. When you maintain a new frequency state consistently, you become able to capture these vacuum fluctuations, turning quantum possibilities into material realities in ways that would have previously seemed magical or impossible from your old perspective. The shift must be authentic, must be embodied, must be lived at cellular level. This explains why affirmations often prove ineffective. You can repeat, "I am abundant," thousands of times, but if you're observing yourself through scarcity, if you're collapsing into lack, your frequency remains unchanged. The quantum field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your state. It doesn't react to what you claim. It reacts to what you are. If you sense your frequency shifting, type "frequency shift" below. Let these words vibrate through the quantum field, announcing your new electromagnetic signature to the universe. Now, we'll explore how to consciously select which version of yourself to collapse into. This isn't a single event. It's a practice, a skill, an art form developed through consistent application. Every master of consciousness, from ancient wisdom keepers to modern quantum physicists, has understood this principle. Reality manifests in the moment of collapse, and you can learn to direct that collapse. Begin with morning awakening, that precious moment when consciousness first returns. Before opening your eyes, before remembering your identity, pause. Feel yourself existing in superposition, in pure potential. You could be anyone. You could feel anything. All possibilities exist in this moment. Now consciously select, not from intellect, but from your entire being. Which version of yourself will you collapse into today? Feel it in your body. The confident version maintains different posture, even while reclined. The peaceful version breathes differently. The abundant version contains different energy in their cells. Don't intellectualize it. Feel into it. And then with intention and awareness, collapse into that version. Open your eyes as that person. Rise from bed as that identity. Begin your day from that frequency. Throughout your day, countless opportunities for practice present themselves. Every interaction, every challenge, every moment of choice offers a chance to consciously collapse into your highest potential. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Which version of you responds? You receive unexpected information. Which identity do you collapse into? You face a familiar trigger. Who do you choose to become? The key lies in catching yourself in the moment before automatic collapse. That split second where multiple paths await. That's your point of power. That's where you reclaim authority over your reality. It requires practice. Initially, you'll miss opportunities frequently, collapsing into established patterns before recognizing choice existed. But with practice, you'll develop speed in catching yourself, skill in pausing, mastery in choosing. One technique quantum therapists call pattern interruption can accelerate this process dramatically. By creating a simple physical gesture, touching your heart center, snapping your fingers, or taking a specific breath pattern that you use only when consciously choosing a new state, you create a physical anchor that helps interrupt automatic collapse patterns. When you feel yourself beginning to collapse into old patterns, immediately use this physical gesture to create a pattern interruption that gives you the space to choose differently. Over time, this gesture itself becomes a powerful tool for state shifting. This practice transforms everything. It transitions you from victim of circumstance to conscious creator. It shifts you from being controlled by your patterns to authoring your experience. It elevates you from unconscious reaction to conscious creation. And as mastery develops, something miraculous happens. Your default state begins shifting. The new version becomes easier to collapse into than the established one. Subscribe to anchor yourself in this new way of being. Each notification becomes a quantum reminder, a gentle collapse into your highest timeline, a vibrational attunement to your unlimited potential. Let's acknowledge something important. Your established self won't surrender easily. It will fight for survival. Not because it's negative or wrong, but because it genuinely believes it's protecting you. That identity formed during moments of pain, created as armor against a world that caused harm. It believes it's keeping you safe. So when you begin collapsing into new versions of yourself, your established identity will resurface. Typically, when you're fatigued, stressed, or triggered, suddenly you'll find yourself thinking the established thoughts, feeling the familiar emotions, collapsing into the old patterns. And in that moment, you might conclude you've failed. You might believe nothing has changed, that you're exactly where you started, but that's incorrect. Each time you consciously choose a different collapse, even momentarily, you weaken the gravitational pull of your established identity. You're demonstrating to your nervous system that alternatives exist. You're teaching your cells they can survive without their familiar chemicals. You're showing your consciousness it possesses the power to choose. When established patterns return, and they will, meet them with compassion rather than resistance. Thank them for attempting to protect you. Acknowledge their concern, and then gently but firmly choose again. Collapse into something different. Not through force, but through love. Not through battle, but through choosing. Remember, what you resist persists, but what you stop observing dissolves. Think of your established self as a child fearing abandonment. If you fight it, it clings tighter. If you shame it, it intensifies. But if you love it, acknowledge it, and then gently redirect attention to who you're becoming, it gradually releases. It recognizes it's safe to evolve. It understands that transformation isn't death, it's growth. Some days present greater challenges than others. Some moments, the gravitational pull of established identity feels overwhelming. Your body will demand its familiar chemicals. Your mind will insist on its familiar thoughts. Your emotions will require their familiar patterns. In these moments, remember this is temporary. This represents your quantum system reorganizing itself. This is the chaos preceding new order. An important principle in quantum field healing is what scientists call phase transition. The moment when a system suddenly shifts from one state to another, like water turning to steam. The most difficult moments in your transformation process often indicate you're approaching a phase transition. The system, you, is gathering energy for a quantum leap. The greatest resistance happens right before the breakthrough. Understanding this can help you persist through challenging transition moments, recognizing them as signs of imminent breakthrough rather than evidence of failure. If you're experiencing this quantum reorganization, affirm below, I release. These two words signal your willingness to let established patterns dissolve back into the field of infinite possibility. When you collapse into a new version of yourself, you don't merely change your personal reality. You create ripples in the quantum field, affecting everything and everyone around you. This isn't metaphorical, it's physics. Your electromagnetic field interacts with other fields, exchanging information, influencing probabilities, shifting possibilities. People will notice something different about you, even if they can't articulate what's changed. Some will be drawn to your new frequency, attracted through resonance to the elevated version of you. Others might distance themselves, uncomfortable with the mirror your transformation holds up to their own stagnation. Both responses are perfect. Both represent aspects of the quantum reorganization happening around your shift. I'm curious. What shifts have you already noticed in your relationships as you've begun changing your energy? Share in the comments how people are responding differently to you as you step into new versions of yourself. Your transformation gives others permission to transform. When you collapse into a higher version of yourself, you demonstrate possibility to others. You become living evidence that identity isn't fixed, that reality isn't solid, that change isn't just possible, but natural. You become a walking invitation for others to explore their own quantum potential. But the ripples extend beyond those in your immediate environment. The quantum field operates non-locally, meaning changes in one part affect the whole. When you elevate your frequency, you contribute to the elevation of collective consciousness. When you collapse into love instead of fear, you make it easier for others to do the same. When you choose peace over anxiety, you add peace to the global field. Quantum physicists have recently begun studying what they call morphic resonance fields, information fields that seem to allow similar systems to communicate across space and time. When you stabilize a new frequency state that few humans have consistently accessed before, you are literally creating new morphic resonance pathways that make it easier for others to access similar states in the future. Your personal transformation literally changes what's possible for all humanity, creating new templates in the collective field that others can more easily access and embody. This explains why your transformation matters. It's not just about creating a better life for yourself, although that's important. It's about contributing to the evolution of consciousness itself. Each time you consciously collapse into a higher version of yourself, you're participating in the quantum evolution of our species. You're not just changing your story, you're changing the story. Don't underestimate the power of individual transformation. History contains countless individuals whose personal evolution catalyzed collective change. They didn't attempt to change the world. They changed themselves, and the world reorganized around their new frequency. You possess that same power. You embody that same possibility. Here's the ultimate revelation. You don't need to collapse into just one identity and remain there permanently. You can learn to live in conscious superposition, fluidly moving between different versions of yourself as circumstances require. This isn't multiple personality disorder. This is quantum mastery. Sometimes circumstances call for collapsing into the warrior version of yourself. Sometimes the healer, sometimes the creator, the leader, the mystic, the child. All these versions exist within you simultaneously. The key lies in learning to consciously select which one to collapse into based on what the moment requires, rather than automatically defaulting to your habitual identity. This represents true freedom. Not being locked into one way of being, but accessing your full spectrum of possibility. Not being controlled by unconscious patterns, but consciously choosing which aspect of your infinite nature to express. This is living as a quantum being rather than a fixed personality. Masters of consciousness throughout history understood this principle. They could be fierce when fierceness served, gentle when gentleness was needed. They could collapse into whatever version of themselves would serve highest good in any given moment. They weren't inconsistent. They were quantum. They weren't unstable. They were fluid. You possess this same capacity. You can learn to sense which version of you serves the moment and collapse into it consciously. Parent, partner, professional, mystic, athlete, artist, all these and more exist within your quantum potential. The question isn't which represents the authentic you. They're all authentic. The question is which one serves this moment. This doesn't reflect inauthenticity. It reflects recognition that authenticity isn't about consistency. It's about honoring your infinite nature, your quantum essence, your unlimited potential. It's about releasing the pretense of being one thing and embracing the truth of being everything. Advanced quantum field navigators understand a concept called quantum superfluid state, a condition where a substance loses all internal friction and gains extraordinary properties. Similarly, when you develop true quantum fluidity in your identity, you gain extraordinary capacities to flow between states without the friction of identity crisis or cognitive dissonance. You become simultaneously completely stable in your core essence, while completely fluid in your expression. The paradoxical state of centered changeability that characterizes truly masterful consciousness. If you're ready to live as your quantum self, declare, "I am quantum." Let this affirmation collapse you into the version of yourself that flows freely between all possibilities. Releasing isn't merely a spiritual concept. It's a quantum necessity. In superposition, all possibilities exist simultaneously. But for one to manifest, others must be released. You cannot collapse into your new self while clinging to the old. You cannot embody your future while gripping your past. The act of letting go is the act of choosing which possibility becomes reality. Consider this metaphor. Your consciousness functions like a quantum processor that can only run one program at a time. While running the program of your established identity, you cannot run the program of your new one. Letting go closes the old program, frees your processing power, creates space for something new to run. But releasing at quantum level differs from intellectual decision to let go. It requires complete release at every level of your being: mental, emotional, physical, and energetic. Your thoughts must release. Your emotions must release. Your cells must release. Your electromagnetic field must release. This explains why it feels so challenging. You're not merely changing your mind, you're changing your entire quantum state. The beautiful paradox is that the moment you truly release, the moment you stop observing your established self into existence, it immediately begins dissolving.